What's up guys, my name is Andy. You know, it wasn't that long ago that I wanted to upgrade the stock throttle linkage that came on my 66 Mustang to something more custom, you know, more race inspired, just something that was more fun than this stock looking, this bar here. There's nothing wrong with this bar, it worked fine, but I just wanted something more fun, kind of jazz up the engine bay just a little bit. So I made a video not too long ago where I had replaced this throttle linkage with a new design, and I used, you know, a threaded rod and some rod ends on there, and the whole intention was to make something adjustable that I could tweak it if I ever needed to fine tune it, kind of like the way this bar is designed where it's got this adjustment on the end. But the bar that I ended up with didn't do that. The throttle linkage I ended up with didn't do that, and ultimately it wasn't what I wanted. And I chose that path because of what was available online, you know, from other manufacturers and stuff. It was expensive, and I didn't want to spend a ton of money for just a piece of linkage that really isn't going to improve anything. So I made that part, wasn't happy with it. Now I've got a throttle linkage that does what I wanted before. It's adjustable. It allows me to change the length of this if I ever need to fine tune it, but it's also something that I'm going to be selling on my website, KruseBuilt.com. I'll be selling this as a kit, and the nice thing about this is that the adjustment is going to go from 10 1/4 to 11 7/8 of total length adjustment. And it's going to fit most of the carbs that we're going to have on our cars, and it may fit other cars. So that's one of the things I was looking for, was something that had quite a wide range of adjustment, but also something that kind of fit the need of what I was looking for. Let's get a little closer to the engine bay, and I'll show you what I'm talking about and where this is going to go. Some of you may have seen that video where I took this stock linkage off here and I put this one on here that I made. And again, this thing does the job. It does what I need it to do when you push the pedal and everything. But the problem is that to make this work, what I've got is a piece of threaded rod inside here and then a piece of aluminum tubing over the outside of it. That's great for this adjustment here, but if I ever needed to change the length up or down, then this tube isn't going to work. I'd either have to cut it shorter if I were to make the distance shorter, but if I had to increase the distance for whatever reason, this tube wouldn't be long enough, and it'd be just flopping around, and it just wouldn't be nice. You know, the rest of this stuff, this whole ball joint rod end thing here, this works great back here. In fact, what I was trying to do here on this end was just kind of emulate what this, you know, little jog in here does for spacing this out. And I think I don't need that, and I'm not going to use that design, you know, on my next throttle linkage, but that's what I was trying to do back here. So this is what I ultimately wanted when I was designing this originally. This is something that it's got a right and left hand thread on it, so I can spin the middle of it and adjust these two rod ends in or out and change the length. Not everybody's going to have the same attachment point. You're going to have a different carb, so this position may be different relative to your throttle pedal, all that stuff. So you depending on what carb you have or what setup you have, something like this isn't going to work because it's a one size doesn't fit all. This one will fit quite a few of the various carb setups out there. Let's take a look at all the parts that you get with the kit. So when you order my throttle linkage, what do you get? You get this adjustment center bar that's got the right and the left hand threads, and the left hand thread is, you know, denoted by this little mark on the end, so it keeps it easy. And then in this little pouch, you get all the hardware that you're going to need to finish this out. And what we've got here, this is a left hand thread rod end, and it's got the little bit gold colored kind of fastener or nut on there, which is different than the right hand. So we're going to put that on this end, this one goes there, and this is going to be the fasteners that we're going to use for attaching this to the carb. Put that on there like so, and then same thing for the other end. We'll use it to attach to the throttle pedal, and we'll go over that here in a minute. So all you need to do is just thread this in there, and we're not going to set the jam nut here for the length yet because we don't know what that is. And then what you could do if you had your stock set up and you know that this was the length that it needed to be from here to here, you could just set this up and just make sure that you got the right length. But I'm going to show you how to go in and dial in this length for either, you know, if you got a new carb or a new setup or you don't have that bar or whatever you've got. I'll show you how we want to set the length for this, assuming you didn't have that dimension already. So this thing is more or less ready to go. Let's go ahead and take that other one off the car, and we'll put this in, and I'll show you how we're going to measure this up. Go ahead and get this guy out of here. Okay, so the secret for finding the length that we're going to need to set the adjustment for And here's your throttle pedal. And when you let go of it like this, what's happening is the pedal is falling to the floor inside the car. That's actually what we want to happen. This is as far as that pedal is gonna go down. So when you jam on the gas all the way down, you're not gonna be pulling on this, which is pulling on the linkage. And if this wasn't adjusted right, you could be overstretching, putting a lot of bind on the throttle setup up here, or damaging your pedal down there because you're pushing too far. So what we want, again, let the pedal fall to the ground, and then we're gonna open up the throttle all the way. And what we're gonna do is you wanna measure from the throttle all the way open, it's the most that you'd ever have it open, from the hole you're gonna put the fastener in to this hole back here. That distance is what we're gonna wanna set the rod end distance on the new adjustable throttle linkage. And depending on what carb you have, you may have to adjust the choke linkage, or if you've got secondary, you know, sometimes there's another lever you're gonna have to push to fully open this up. The Edelbrock carb that I used to have had a setup where I had to flip another lever to fully open this up and let it engage. So just something, you know, heads up on that. So now that we got this all the way open, we wanna take our tape measure, and we're gonna wanna do the best we can to measure from the center of the throttle linkage hole to the center of this hole, where we're gonna put the bolt. And again, it's kind of hard to do this with the camera in the way, but it looks like I'm right at about 11 to 11 and a 16th from the center of the hole back here to the center of this hole that I'm using on my throttle linkage. So back here at the bench, what I want to do is I want to thread these things in, each one of these rod ends in on either side. Remember, there's a right and a left hand here, so you have to spin it the other way. Kind of gets confusing sometimes. And what I want to do is I want to set the center of this hole, at about 11 and a 16th. So I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to start it at 10. So I know that's an even number. So I want this to be, essentially because I'm starting at 10, I want this to be 21 and a 16th, just because I need it to be 11 and a 16th is my total distance here. So it looks like I need to come out another 1/4 of an inch. So we're just going to eyeball that a little bit. Maybe run that out that way. Run this one out a little bit. Get close. See what happens here. Okay. That's the center. That is a pretty dang close. I think I'm going to just do this one more spin. There, that is 11 and a 16th. It may not be easy to tell on the camera, but 11 and a 16th. So I'm going to go ahead and run this jam nut down, and I'm going to tighten it once I get everything set in place here. Run that down. I'm going to use these 7/16 wrenches to lock this down. Okay. There. Now this thing is fixed and ready to put in the car. So we're going to use this new hardware and get her installed. All right, we'll do the first one in the back here. Just get that put on there for now. And then we'll run the front bolt through. All right, this is using a 5/32 Allen wrench to tighten these down. All right, so now we got a full adjustable setup here. And everything, again, the nice thing is when you press the pedal all the way to the floor, it's not going to bind up on anything and overstretch anything. So this is exactly where we want it to be. Everything looks good, everything pivots like it's supposed to, and it kind of looks more like a race part, and that's ultimately what I wanted. So guys, that's it. That's how simple it is to install that throttle linkage. It's not something hard at all. And ultimately, it's something that it gives us that adjustable throttle linkage has kind of got, again, that race inspired, kind of just something more fun than the stock thing. It's not going to add any improvement to performance or anything, but it's just something fun to do. And I'm offering it on my website because the stuff that's available on there, online is, it's around double the price of what I'm selling mine for. And I didn't want to spend a lot of money on something that isn't going to really do anything for me, but I think it looks cool. And so that's why I'm selling this. I'm hoping that for you guys, this does the same thing. It kind of scratched that itch of upgrading something on your car. It looks kind of cool, but it's not breaking the bank. And that's what I wanted to do, was offer something like that. So if you guys head over to KruseBuilt.com, you'll be able to find my throttle linkage on there, get yourself a set, get it put in, and away you go. All right, guys, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. And if you subscribe, I appreciate it because it helps my channel out. And we'll see you in the next one.